This video was inspired by a question posted by a viewer. If every human somehow simply disappeared from the face of the Earth, how long would it be before the last artificial light source would go out? Let's start with the obvious. Most lights wouldn't last long because the major power grids would go down pretty fast. Sure, without people, there would be less demand for power. Our ridges and air conditioners would no longer be running, but our homes, offices, retail spaces, billboards, and decorative lamps would still be running for a while. Fossil fuel plants, which supply the majority of the world's electricity, require a steady supply of fuel, and that system depends on human workers. Without humans to deliver fuel, these plants would run out of coal or oil and shut down in a matter of hours. But this sudden loss of generation would put a lot of strain on the remaining power sources. And even with human oversight, this kind of imbalance is difficult to manage. As coal and oil plants shut down, nuclear reactors would take on the extra load. But in the long term, this means running at higher capacity, which is a big problem. For nuclear plants that rely on a constant flow of coolant, a reactor can overheat and melt down. That's why every part of the control system is built to prioritize automatic safety shutdowns. And if the grid fails, that's exactly what would happen. So unless someone manually restarts the reactor, it will enter a shutdown state and remain there. But as long as the coolant is still flowing and the fuel is intact, a reactor can stay warm and produce heat for a long time. In fact, one operator mentions that if a reactor enters low power mode, it could theoretically keep running for a couple of years. But the fuel stored inside won't last that long. Even if everything else is perfect, most reactors wouldn't last that long. Most nuclear reactors wouldn't even make it to an hour without human intervention. A single operator in France mentions that he worked a shift where the cooling system failed. Although there was a backup system in place, the entire facility had to be evacuated because of the high radiation levels. And this isn't an outlier experience. Reactors around the world have experienced similar issues. The difference between a meltdown and an orderly shutdown is razor thin, especially without human operators. So as soon as something goes wrong, the reactor would shut itself down, ensuring nothing dangerous happens. Now, there are reactors that require regular refueling, and those would run out much faster than others. But unless the fuel rods are removed, any reactor could theoretically run for a long time. To keep the lights on, we need to look beyond nuclear power plants. Many remote communities, especially on distant islands, use diesel generators to provide reliable power to their residents. While these generators don't rely on fossil fuels delivered by humans, they do rely on fuel stored inside the tank. How long these systems last depends on many factors like storage capacity, usage, and maintenance schedule. So the lifespan of each generator varies significantly. Some might last a few days, while others could last a few months. Generating stations that don't rely on human-supplied fuel, like wind or geothermal, would last longer than traditional power plants. Let's start with geothermal. Geothermal plants harness the Earth's internal heat energy to generate electricity. They use various methods to extract steam from underground reservoirs. This steam drives turbines connected to generators, producing electricity. The process doesn't require constant refueling. In fact, some facilities only need to be topped up once a year. One operator mentions that maintenance is usually required roughly every 6 months. It involves tasks like replacing oil, greasing motors, and tuning parts. Without these maintenance activities, the plant could likely operate for several years. However, over time, the buildup of sediment, corrosion, and scaling would eventually lead to a decrease in efficiency and eventually cause a complete shutdown. But what about wind power? Wind turbines use the kinetic energy of wind to generate electricity. Wind farms typically consist of numerous turbines, each equipped with a generator. When wind blows across the rotor blades, it causes them to rotate. This rotation powers a generator, converting mechanical energy into electricity. Like all machinery, wind turbines require regular maintenance, including inspections, lubrication, and component replacements. The frequency of maintenance depends on various factors, such as the turbine's age, operating conditions, and manufacturer recommendations. However, wind turbines are built to operate for long periods with minimal human intervention. One early turbine in Denmark reportedly ran for 11 years without maintenance. Modern turbines are generally rated to operate for at least 3 years without servicing. Some newer models may not require maintenance for 5 years or more. Therefore, it's safe to say that many wind turbines could still be operating. After the extinction of humans, some might even continue to run for decades. Additionally, some turbines feature blinking lights or sensors powered by their own motion, which could remain functional for an extended period. Now let's talk about hydropower. Hydroelectric power plants use the potential energy of water stored at elevated levels to generate electricity. Dams create reservoirs of water, which are then released in a controlled manner to drive turbines connected to generators. According to one operator who wished to remain anonymous, a dam facility could keep generating power on autopilot for several years even if abandoned. There are automatic systems that can maintain a set flow rate. If the flow rate increases or decreases below a certain threshold, it triggers an alarm. Although there aren't any backup systems in place, the facility is designed to operate autonomously. But there's a catch. If the grid is down, all that power has nowhere to go. Any excess electricity generated by the hydroelectric plant would be wasted. However, as long as the water continues to flow and the equipment remains operational, the plant will continue to produce power. Over time, buildup of debris or mechanical breakdowns could cause the facility to stop functioning. While hydroelectric power plants could continue operating, the same can't be said for battery-powered lights. Batteries, whether rechargeable or non-rechargeable, rely on chemical reactions to generate electricity. Once the chemical reaction is complete, the battery is depleted and stops producing power. Batteries used in devices like flashlights, toys, or remote controls have a limited lifespan. Various factors influence their lifespan, including the type of battery, usage, and storage conditions. On average, batteries lose about 2 to 3% of their charge per month when not in use. Some types of batteries, such as lithium batteries, tend to last longer and may retain their charge for several years. However, eventually all batteries will lose all of their energy. In the case of rechargeable batteries, multiple charging and discharging cycles degrade the battery's capacity. This degradation is influenced by factors like charging habits and temperature. Some nickel-based batteries might last for about 500 cycles before significant capacity loss occurs. Alkaline batteries, commonly used in devices like smoke detectors, are designed to last for 10 years or more under normal conditions. In contrast, lithium batteries typically have a longer lifespan, lasting 25 years or more under ideal conditions. Considering the extensive use of batteries worldwide, it's safe to assume that most batteries would be depleted within a few decades. Solar power is likely the best contender. Off-grid solar-powered buildings, road signs, and remote weather stations exist all over the world. These systems are designed to last a long time with minimal maintenance. For example, emergency call boxes on highways often include small lights that turn on at night. These systems are typically solar-powered and feature a backup battery for cloudy days. Some are designed to operate for up to 10 years without needing to be recharged. Additionally, many traffic lights are equipped with solar panels, enabling them to function during outages. These solar-powered traffic lights can continue operating for an extended period without human intervention, assuming the solar panels remain clean and receive adequate sunlight. The longest-lasting solar-powered light sources are likely to be found in dry, clear climates. With minimal dust accumulation and cloud cover, these lights could potentially shine for up to a century. But what if we want to be really precise about what counts as light? Well, there are certain materials that emit a faint blue glow when exposed to radiation. This phenomenon, known as optical luminescence, can occur in specific conditions, such as when cosmic rays or gamma rays interact with certain minerals. It's almost like the glow-in-the-dark toys we had as kids, but much dimmer and longer lasting. In fact, this glow has been observed in scientific experiments where researchers expose samples of various materials to radiation. The light emitted from these materials can persist for days, weeks, or even longer. This implies that in the right conditions, a gentle blue glow might continue shining for centuries. Ultimately, the lifespan of these light sources depends on various factors, such as the type of material, environmental conditions, and the intensity of radiation exposure. While it might not be the type of light we're accustomed to, it's still a fascinating example of how light can be generated without the need for electricity or machinery. It's impossible to know for sure what the last light source will be, but hopefully this video gave you some ideas. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.